All right, guys, on today's episode, I will be recapping Bellator 175, and that is with Miguel from the Brains and Brawn podcast. He will be on in just a second. Looking forward to this. Of course, if you've been listening to the episodes, I was at the event. So in here, I'm going to recap, me and Miguel, we're going to recap the main card, and I'm also just going to kind of talk about my experience because I got to do a lot of stuff I have never gotten to do before, and I want to talk about it. So we're going to do that. But before we get started, I do want to tell you about a product, the Voball. If you've listened to episodes, you've heard me talk about the Voball plenty of times. So please go to the Voball, that's TheVoball, thevoball.com, to learn more about their product. It is for hand-eye coordination, it's for reflexes, it's for accuracy and timing, just to get a good cardio workout, bobbing and weaving. It's used for boxing training, kickboxing training, or just like I said, general exercise. So go to thevoball.com to learn more about their product. All right, let's get the episode started.
You got a gun, you got a big gun, you got a gun, it's not a real one.
And here we are. All right. Let's recap.
Let's get the party started.
Let's recap Bellator 175. Miguel, how's it going, first of all?
Man, it's been one heck of a week, let me tell you, with the whole Bellator 175 experience. I know a lot of the people, they've heard my voice, on my podcast and stuff. My voice is a little shot right now. Like I said, I've been nonstop celebrating since Friday night. It was one hell of a night, Kyle. I know you had a blast, man. I was up in the rafters when I looked down and I pointed you out. The second that we got into our seat, I was like, Kyle's right there. Look at him. He's fucking cage side doing his thing on the media platform. It was awesome, dude. It was a great experience for all of us. I felt like, it was just cool seeing you down there, first of all, doing your thing, man.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. It was awesome.
How was the whole thing, man? Like, I know when we seen each other in the hallways when I walked downstairs. And you just looked almost overwhelmed with everything that was going on. I was the same way. I couldn't even look left to right because there was just so much going on. A lot of the fighters were really approachable, man, which really blew my mind. They fought, and 2 minutes later they were in street clothes, walking around, taking pictures with the people.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of stuff. This was my first time doing media. Not only was it my first time doing media, and you may not even know this, but that was my first MMA show. I have literally never been to an MMA event, period. I've never been to a regional one, amateur one, nothing. That was my first event, and it also coincided with being my first media event. So so there was a lot of stuff I had to take in. And part of it was overwhelmed in that I didn't prepare as well as I'd like to have. That's a lesson to learn for next time. I wish I knew more about the fighters going into it, especially for the media days, right? At the press conference, I didn't really have anything to offer. Even after the fights at the scrums, I kind of just hung back, which isn't my style. I'm a very in-your-face, very active person. So for me to hang back for 3 days was tough, but I also knew I didn't have anything to offer. I didn't have anything to offer to the ethos. So just hang back, let the people who have done this before do what they do, learn from them, and then in the future, take more control. But you got to know yourself. You have to know your situation. I'm big on just self-actualization. I think a lot of people are not. A lot of people will lie to themselves about anything and everything. I'm not one of those people. So I knew what my level of preparedness was. And the last thing that I wanted to do was, get in my own way. So I kind of just hung back. I hung back the whole weekend, and took more of a passive role. So, but it worked out because I learned a lot by doing that. I took the let's be a fly on the wall approach. And let's just watch everything that's happening and eat it all up. And I also, the one thing I didn't do, and this isn't to call out anybody that was there, because I don't think there's anything wrong with it per se. But what I did not do is I did not take a single picture with anybody the entire time. with any
Yeah.
fighter.
Yeah.
I
noticed that. I noticed that. I was like, wow, because you were in there. You know what I mean? I noticed it. You know, you didn't really, or you didn't even like really post about pictures like that. And I don't know if you've seen on my end, but I did a couple videos here and there, but I took, I want to say, one picture with Thunder Beast, and that was about it.
Yeah,
I seen all these guys getting approached left and right, and I almost felt bad about it because they were just so approachable and so cool with everybody that I was just content with getting a nice conversation with them.
Yeah.
Like I had a really good conversation with Pettis, and I didn't even take a picture with him. I did a video with everyone trying to take pictures of him, but I didn't even take a picture with the guy. I felt bad for him, but yeah.
Now, you were there as a fan, so I think being there as a fan, you can do whatever the fuck you want. I think as a fan, whatever it is you want to do, man, like do your thing. It's cool that you were like that though, because I think it does get old for them to just constantly have to pose for pictures. Anyone that I saw, I at least shook their hand. So like I shook Fedor's hand, I shook Chael's hand, I shook Mitrione's hand, Larkin and Lima and Big John and Stitch Duran. Like I'm name dropping because I'm cool, but I shook all their hands, and some of them I even had like conversations with. Like I talked to Ryan Bader for like 10 minutes, right? So I think that's okay. But for media, to me personally, I think it's super unprofessional if you're working media for an event and you take pictures with them. I truly believe that is really unprofessional. Now, again, I'm not talking shit on anybody. This was my first time. A lot of those guys have done it 20, 30 times. So do your thing. I'm not one to judge. Do your thing. But for me personally, it's something that I'm not going to do unless it's... Chael was pretty close for me. Chael was one where I was like, "Ooh, I want to get a picture with this man." I didn't really have an opportunity because he was having to move around so quick that I think I kept myself from getting into a situation where I did that. But yeah, I mean, there were guys who I was with who just every fucking 5 minutes they were tapping on someone's shoulder and having them lean over into the media section to get pictures and stuff. And I think that that's really unprofessional. You're there to do a job. You're there to work media for the event. You're there to follow the events. You're there to get interviews. Now, yes, getting pictures and posting them, can you construe that as doing media and promotion? Yeah, sure. But that's not what you're doing. So... You know, that's my one gripe, I think, with some of the media there. I felt like a lot of people were not very professional. There were also a lot of people who did not show up for the weigh-ins, especially, but a lot of people who didn't show up for the press conference. And that was one of their big things was, if we're going to have you do media, show up to the press conference. And only a handful of us showed up. And I also think that that's really unprofessional. You know, if you can't make it to the press conference, you shouldn't be at the event, you know? So
without a doubt.
Now I'm going to step off my high horse because again, this is my first time. I'm not one to talk. I don't know enough about the situation. I don't know enough about how any of this stuff works. I get that. So I won't stand too high on my box, but I did want to get that stuff out of there because I think for people coming into the game, I would want to stress to them, hey man, you're there to do a job, do your job. You know, even when I didn't want to, I tweeted every single round of every single fight. You know, I didn't get up and move around. I didn't go out except for one time. I got up and went out there to get a hot dog. And even during that, I made sure it was under 5 minutes so that way I could tweet about it after. So I tweeted every single round of every single fight. And a lot of other people did too. It wasn't just me. That's a normal thing if you're there. And that's what you're there to do. You know, that's what you're there to do. A lot of people didn't. Especially the bigger guys. The guys who were taking all the pictures and the guys who I felt were kind of being lazy were the guys from the biggest promotion, or the guys from the biggest websites, which I thought was kind of shocking to me. You know, because I think they're there for the gotcha stuff, or they're there for, hey, look, I'm taking a picture with Big John, and taking a picture of Big John helps grow their brand, and that's what their focus was, as opposed to, man, I'm going a lot into this more than I was anticipating.
But you're hitting everything right on the nail, brother. I mean, you're fucking preaching right now. I feel exactly the same way, man, about a lot of it. Like I said, I seen a lot of the guys, and I shook their hand, had conversations with, but it's like, what do you just grab someone? Hey, take a picture of us real quick. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you said, you got to keep it professional at one point. And like, I was there as a fan, and even me was thinking, like I've been there with their fighters when they're backstage and everything, having managed a couple fighters and stuff. So like, I know like what they go through and stuff. Like the last thing, and it's not saying that they don't want it. It's not saying like they don't want people, taking pictures with them, but it's like, I felt like, there's a time and place for everything. And I was there to watch the event and cheer on Thunder Beast and put on, as much as I could for everybody and give everyone their fair shake rather than sit there and try to take pictures with every fighter that I could.
Yep. And like I said, if you're there as a fan, I will never bitch about fans getting pictures and getting autographs. I'm totally cool with that. I mean, yeah. I really am. I have no problem with that. Yeah, I got no problem with that. I understand why people shouldn't, but yeah, I got no problem, man. If people want to do that, that's totally cool. But if you're working media, that's a whole different animal, man. It's a whole different animal. Yeah. You're working media. Be more professional.
You blew my mind, man, with you telling me that was your first event, because you handled it like a champ. I mean, it looked like you've been doing it forever, brother. Like, I'm telling you for real. Like I said, I noticed you were at your seat. I want to say the whole time. The only time I ever seen you walk away was when I bumped into you in the halls, and I guess you were on the way to get food or whatever. But you were there, man. You were there on every fight, every round, every intermission. There wasn't even any intermission. We were like, man, the pace is unbelievable.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about that real quick, because we're only going to kind of talk about the main card, because that's what most people watch. So let's talk about the undercard for a second, just real broad. Bro, that pacing, though. Like, that pacing, though. So to describe to our listeners what took place in that undercard. Bro, one fight would end. Dude gets knocked out. They got a shovel scraping this dude off the canvas as they're bringing the next person into the cage. I mean, right?
The guy's already running down the Titan.
Yeah,
getting carried out of the cage.
Yeah, like they're like throwing people. Like you're getting choked out. They're like grabbing you by the scruff of your neck and dragging you out and trying to dodge between the next fight that's starting. I mean, bro, the pacing, one fight after another on that undercard was incredible. It was incredible. I don't know. And there was no introductions. Nothing. I mean,
not even like a who's coming out.
All of a sudden, man, a fight would end, and all of a sudden, the announcer would go, and the next fight is, person A versus person B, and then all of a sudden they're fighting, and then the fight ends. And there's no announcement as to who won unless it went to a decision. If it went to a decision, they're like, and the judges scored it for this guy. And the next fight is going to be person Y versus person X. I mean, dude, it was God bless Bellator, because they weren't fucking around. And it was awesome.
Exactly. I was looking at my co-host the whole time, like, bro, I'm sweating more than the fighters right now. Like,
it was so hard. It was so hard.
But how they didn't even have like their own personal intro music. It was basically like that club music they were playing the whole time.
Yeah, dude. Yep.
So like I couldn't even tell like if there was a new fighter coming out or not.
Who is this?
Coming out behind each other,
bro,
man.
They were coming out together. They're like holding hands, walking to the octagon to fight each other. I mean,
exactly.
They're not going to do individual introductions for those guys. No, dude. They're like shoving them out. They got like pitchforks, poking them in the back as they're trying to walk down together. Get them to the cage. Fight. Yeah, man. The pacing was awesome. I mean,
I actually had a couple of listeners. Put on one of our live videos that we did, and they were like, "Oh man, this is the first time I watched Bellator. It was a great card, but they were like, it was a really bad like pacing. Like it kept going to commercials and blah blah blah. Like I guess the people watching it live on TV, I guess we're getting the same pacing. But then again, remember the main card? I think Steve was the first fight of the main card. He knocked the guy out in 28 seconds. So they kind of did like a mini intermission for the next fight because it was such a quick fight,
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that's what they were talking about, because I was like, man, we didn't get a moment to rest. Like, there was times where I was like, I want to go get food or go get something, but I don't want to miss a fight. Like, 'cause they were just coming out, like you said, one after another, and it was hard to even get up and go do something because you're missing a whole fight if you're getting up to go do something.
Yeah, and the pacing for the main card was a lot different. So I mean, if you were just watching the main card, it was a normal pacing, right? It was there was introductions. If there was an early finish, there was a lot of shit in between. So if you're watching that, but if you're watching the undercard, and so the UFC's prelims are on, generally speaking, are on Fox. Right, for the most part. They obviously have some fast stuff sometimes, but for the most part, your prelims are going to be on Fox. So the prelims are going to have the same pacing as the main card. Well, this shit was streaming straight to Bellator.com, so they don't give any fucks. I mean, they're just blasting through this stuff. I mean, they're probably. I don't even know if those are the fighters who are supposed to do it. I feel like half the time they're like, just grab that dude, get him in there, let's do it. I mean, it didn't even feel like. And there were fights. I mean, you should look up my crib sheet where it has like pictures of people and it has like everyone's stats and shit that they give you, so you can kind of follow along. And bro, it's just skipping around. None of it was any type of order except for the main card. The prelim shit there was no order to it. And when we got done, there was like 6 fights left on it. And I'm like, what happens with these 6 fights? And then King Mo Rampage happens, right? Fight ends. They walk out. And they're like, all right, guys, we have the post limbs. They're like, whoa.
Hey
like,
Kyle, dude, did you see my video I posted of, I think I went live. When we came down from up top, we came all the way down once the Rampage fight ended because I thought it was the end of the show. But at the same time, I know some of the guys, Kyle. Like, I know the Josh Streaker. I know the Brandon, man, I can't say, I don't want to say his last name wrong, but it was like Shellhart or something like that. I know a lot of those guys because they all train with one of my buddies. They all come out of
Brandon Shellhart. Yeah, so here's the 4 fights. There are 4 fights that I, to this day, I don't know if they happened because I went down to the media scrums, so I have no idea if these fights happened, and I do not know the results. It was Prince McLean versus Adam Majewski, James Esposito versus Asef Askar, Corey Galloway versus David Garcia, and Maximilia Fuentes versus Brandon Shellhart. I have no clue if those 4 fights happened, and I do not know what the results are, and neither does Sherdog.
Neither does Sherdog.
Neither does Sherdog.
Actually, the very last fight of the night was the Brandon fight. And, man, I've seen Brandon grow in the last few years. Like, I've seen him, doing amateur shows in Sandwich, Illinois and stuff like that. This guy, he looked phenomenal, man. Like, he looked like a whole different animal. He looked great at that weight class, bouncing around. He won the fight. But you did miss some things, though, man, because those last 4 fights, I'm not going to lie, they were probably some of the more interesting fights, I want to say, of the night, because I feel like these guys were sitting back there the whole night waiting to fucking fight, Because, like you said, like, they didn't have much on the prelims. These fights were supposed to be preliminary fights. I think Brandon was supposed to be one of the first fights of the night. So that's why, like, towards the end of the show, with everything that was going on, I kind of even forgot about it. And so one of my buddies is a good friend with Josh Streaker, one of the guys that fought in those last 4 fights. And
Josh Streaker won by split decision. I have Tapology, bless their hearts. They have everything updated.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. So he texted me, like, how did Josh do? And I was like, man, Josh didn't even fight. I was like, he didn't even fight tonight. So I'm making my way down as I'm talking to my buddy on the phone about how, like, I was like, I don't know what happened. So I'm downstairs thinking that it's the end of the show, We're all walking around cage side, and all of a sudden the guy goes, we got 4 more fights left. And I freaked the fuck out. I went crazy because I was like, I want more fights. I was having such a good time. I was like, let's get a couple more. And then all of a sudden he announced that there was like 4 more fights left. So it was like a dream come true on top of it, being Josh and Brandon, guys that I actually know. Brandon, Lloyd Carter, he was a plus 700 underdog versus that guy. So, that had already told you a lot of where they thought that other guy was standing. But Lloyd Carter, a couple other guys that were on that card, they all trained with Darren Elkins. They all came from like that same camp where Elkins like established himself. So that's why I like knew a lot of them. Like I knew that they were grinders. You know what I'm saying? Like I knew that they would grind it out and battle it out. I was just saying a lot by watching Darren Elkins fight and stuff. But that's why I was really high on those guys because I actually knew them. But dude, man, it was crazy. Like the 4 fights after, one of the fights, Kyle, I want to say it was the first fight of the post fights where a dude had him in a guillotine and rear naked. He had him in a full rear naked choke, and the guy started tapping, but it was like where he was flailing the tap, like almost asking for help type. And the guy didn't let go. The guy didn't let go of the choke. Oh, he held it for like another 5 seconds, where the referee had to go and like pry him off the guy. Aye. So when the guy got let go, he got up and started fighting him again. So like the ref was in between, and they didn't want to unlock the cage because both teams were trying to get into the cage, but they didn't. So it was just a ref with both these guys trying to beat the shit out of each other still after he like had stopped the fight, and then the teams came in and everything got settled down. But yeah, that was one of them. That was what I think it was the first fight of the night where the guy had him in a rear naked for like an extra 5 seconds. Man, it was bad, and it was a bad rear naked where he like bent his whole back and everything doing it.
So the two post limb rear naked chokes would have been your boy, and then also the Shellheart guy, and then Asif Askar versus James.
That's what it was. It was the Asif Askar guy because I was cage side for that one, and one of his coaches was actually in front of me and was telling me like,
that was his pro debut. That was that cat's pro debut.
Exactly. And that guy was telling me like, oh, you ever see this guy fight? He's amazing. He's a finisher. I guess that Askar guy, his first fight, one of his first fights, he punched a guy in the mouth so fucking hard, Kyle. He took out when they took his mouth guard, 5 teeth came out. And he showed me the pictures and everything. So it wasn't like he was just talking out of his ass. He showed me the pictures of the guy's mouth. He was missing his whole front 4 teeth. Like, I don't know how that happened. He must have not had his mouth guard in right or something. But that guy, I guess he's like a big up and comer. So, but that was just really unprofessional of him to do that.
Oh yeah.
One thing with mixed martial arts, man, they teach us. And I've done mixed martial arts 10+ years. On and off, here and there, everywhere I can. And the number one thing they teach you is honor and respect. And you see guys after fights. That's why I love mixed martial arts so much. You see guys after beating the shit out of each other for 3 to 5 rounds, and then they hug and bow down to each other after the fight. You know what I mean? Like, and so when I see things like that, it kind of pisses me off. It's kind of shitty. As much as like I said, I was talking to his coach for a while, and his coach was talking them all up, and then he went and did that. I actually walked out of the arena with the guy that he was choking out. And I got to hear his side of the, how everything happened. And he was like, I showed up to weight. I guess the guy was overweight by like 7-8 pounds.
Yeah.
The guy he choked out. What's his name? I'm sorry. You got the topology thing. What's his name?
James Esposito.
Yeah, well, James, really cool dude, man. He was a really cool guy. Like I said, I walked out with him. He was with his girlfriend and his friend, and he was telling me like, hey, I showed up a little overweight, and I guess that's what made him choke me out for an extra 5 seconds because I guess the guy was really butthurt about him showing up the weight. And I do remember him yelling something to him after when the referee was like trying to separate them, the Askar or whatever his name is. He walked away and like stuck his tongue out and yelled at the guy like, next time make fucking weight. But that's still
of course it's not an excuse.
That's no excuse to choke a man out for an extra 5 seconds, man. I mean, you're gonna kill the man, like. Yeah. So yeah, that's no excuse. I don't care if you show up extra weight, then don't take the fight then. You know what I'm saying? Don't take the fight. You still get a purse, you still get money, like. But yeah, there's no excuse. But the guy told me that's what the guy told me walking out of the arena. He's like, yeah, I showed up to weight, overweight a little bit. So I'm guessing that's what made him, choke me out. But he was like, that's still no excuse, man.
Well, speaking of professionalism, let's talk about what took place during the Kingmo Rampage fight. So
that was more interesting than the fight. Kyle.
Yeah. So during the Kingmo Rampage fight that didn't get interesting until the end of the second round. During that fight, a fight broke out in the stands.
Welcome to Chicago, Kyle.
Yeah, bro. And then it turned into like it started as like a little pushing match between like 2 people. Before you know it,
seen it?
Of course I was, dude. I was right there. Of course, and then all of a sudden, yeah, bro, you went from you went from like 2-3 people pushing each other to all of a sudden 20 people having a melee. And
yeah, that's what it looked crazy from where I was standing. Because, like I said, I was balls deep in the fight. I was watching what was going on.
Well, you also had a coach. The coach on the undercard, there was a guy named Tom Schoaf.
Oh, Tom Schoaf? Yeah, that's my buddy. That's a good buddy of mine, actually.
His coach got kicked out.
Holy shit.
He kept trying to climb the cage, and they kept saying, hey, you can only have 2 people in and 1 person up top. You're not allowed over there. And he's pushing the security, trying to talk to his guy, and they're like grabbing him by the back of his shirt. He's pushing him, and he's like, all right, I'm going back. And then literally he would turn around and run back to the cage real quick. He'd go, Tom, do this. And like they're like grabbing him. So finally, after the second round, bro, they took his ass out, and he was fighting with them. They like grabbed his arms behind his back for like holding him down. And
holy wow, they did this to
yeah.
what? Was that Steve Colon? Do you know by any chance what coach? Just a coach?
No. Yeah, I don't know which guy. I could tell you if I'm looking at a picture, but I couldn't tell you. It was a black guy, but I think they're all black dudes, so I don't know. That's my only distinguishing feature. It's not because I'm racist, but that's the only thing I got.
I know one of their coaches. He's a fucking amazing guy. That's why it like blew my mind. I was like, I hope it wasn't him because I know he's like one of the most calmest dudes I've ever met. But
this dude this dude was not. I also saw somebody. Get escorted out and taken down because he kept trying to get a picture with Chael. As Chael was like doing the broadcasting, he kept walking up and he's like, I just want to get a picture, man. And he's like, he's on like because it's right in front of me. Like literally, this was taking place like right in front of me. And he's like, hey, he's on broadcast right now. You can't go up to him. He's like, dude, just like I just want a picture, man. Like that's it. He's like, I gotcha, but he's doing. You know, he's on camera. He's commentating. Yeah. He's like, dude, I don't think you understand, man. I just want to get a picture. You know what I mean? Like he was being one of those dudes where like it didn't matter how like simple you explain the situation. He's gonna have no fucking idea what you're talking about. So anyway, finally he like tried to like again make like a run for it.
The shit you see at these events, right?
I know.
It's hilarious.
I mean, it's a bunch of drunk people watching people fight. I mean, you know.
I'm looking at my co-host the whole time, and I was like, bro, I'm surprised it took until the main event for a fucking brawl to start like that because I was like, it's a bunch of drunk people. We're in Chicago, you know how we are, and just the ovation they gave to Rampage compared to the one they gave to King Mo. So I knew that there was some guy out there in some section that was chanting his ass off about King Mo and everyone around him telling them that King Mo sucked. And I'm guessing that's how the fight even started. You know what I'm saying? That's what I was thinking. I was like, how else did the fight start? I was like, there's probably one guy in the section screaming his ass off about King Mo.
Yeah.
The whole arena was chanting for Rampage. Yeah. My buddy walked up to Chael's son and fucking he was starstruck. He froze. He walked up and tried quoting him on a quote. He was like, it's not how many miles on the and then he froze, and Chael looked at him and finished it for him. Like, it's not how many miles on the car, it's how many miles the car has left. and then my buddy's like, I'm sorry, Chael, I just, they're one of my favorite fighters, blah, blah, blah. And then he goes, have good luck fighting Chael. Chael looks at him like, oh my God, this guy's just wasted.
Poor cat, man.
I thought it was hilarious, and my buddy looked at me like I've never been that starstruck. I felt like I seen fucking Britney Spears or some shit.
That's on Britney Spears.
What the hell? He was like, he met Fedor. We met everyone that night. Hoist Crate, all the guys.
I like that's what gets him going. Chael Sonnen and Britney Spears.
Yeah, I was like, what a comparison, right? And that's exactly words out of his mouth. He was like, I was like a starstruck teenager that just ran into Britney Spears.
It's like, man, he goes, it felt like I was looking at like Britney Spears or like Neil deGrasse Tyson or something.
Yeah. It was hilarious, man. Like Chael, you could see Chael starting to even laughing about it because he was just like, he probably gets it every day, But just the fact that like my buddy Steve tried quoting him on it, and then he finished the sentence, and then the second time he goes, all right, man, good luck. You're going to beat the shit out of Chael. And then he looked at him like, I'm sorry, Chael. I mean, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. All I said was, I shook his hand. I said, "It's a pleasure, sir," and he said, "Thanks," and that was it.
Yeah.
I didn't try to get cute with it. I said, "It's a pleasure, sir," and he said, "Thank you." I said,
Oh, and another thing I forgot to tell you. Here's another little behind the scenes thing. When I was sitting there cage side, with my buddy Steve at one point, Dylan Dennis walked up to Chael Sonnen. And dude, and this is crazy because I know no one noticed it. It had to just been me and my buddy Steve that noticed it because I looked around, no one was looking at them or anything. It was like almost like a really personal thing. So Dylan comes up to him and he says something about like, I heard you were saying some shit about blah, blah, blah. Like all I heard was him say, I heard you talking about, I didn't hear what he said after that. But then Chael, and then they got like face to face and Chael started saying to him, like, he's like, you know what, man? Like, and he handled it almost like he did get caught, like talking shit about him or whatnot. And Dylan called him out on it, Dylan Dennis. But Chael goes, I could totally see myself fighting you in the future. You know, first I need to see you win a couple of matches before you, step in the cage with me, blah, blah, blah. He said something along those lines. But yeah, they had like a little back and forward, dude. It was really cool. And I was fucking 2 feet away, like watching this, like it was just two normal guys at a bar that just started talking shit to each other. And I looked around and I noticed that no one was paying attention. Like, so it was like a really personal situation, a really personal confrontation. It was pretty cool. So Chael basically told him, like, I could see me fighting you in the future and, it would sell a lot of pay-per-views or whatnot. And I kind of agree too, but this whole Dylan Dennis hype that everyone's on, man, it's like kind of blowing my mind. The man's never even fought yet. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and that's the thing is, people give him, his BJJ's incredible. So let's get to the recap because this is a perfect place to start. Because the first fight of the night was Steve Cazzola versus Jake Roberts.
Thunder Beast!
Yes, who I'm talking to in 20 minutes. So
awesome! You're gonna get him on the podcast?
Yeah. I'm gonna the same day I release this, I'm gonna release his interview.
Awesome, because he's a really intelligent guy, dude.
I'm excited. Anyway. I'm excited to pick his brain and talk more about the Dylan situation and if Dylan is, because I talked to Scott Coker at the scrum and he kind of dismissed the Dylan Dennis Cazzola thing. He basically said Cazzola needs to get some fights under his belt. So I want to try to get him to call somebody else out because I don't think the Dylan Dennis thing is going to work. But I applaud him for doing it, but I don't think it's going to work. So I'm interested if there's any other names that he's tossing around, and maybe we get the narrative started on that because that's going to be much more reasonable. But anyway, so he I mean, just utterly. There's not much to say about this fight. He utterly destroyed Jake Roberts in 28 seconds.
Oh, my God.
I mean, what is there to say? I mean...
Not much, but yeah, I want to say...
And look at his record. Look at his record. First round knockout, first round knockout, first round knockout, second round knockout, first round knockout, first round knockout, second round knockout, second round choke. That's his record. I mean, this is a dude, man. This is a guy, and he trains with Dan Henderson, correct?
Yeah.
I mean,
he's up there in Temecula, California.
Yeah, this dude is. Yeah, I'm excited to talk to him. I mean, this is the future.
Kyle, why do you think I've been so high on this guy, bro? Like, I wasn't just hyping him and I don't even. And I want a lot of the listeners to listen to this because I know a lot of listeners probably think, oh, Miguel's just riding his nuts because this is his good friend, blah, blah, blah. Bro, you know how I got introduced to Steven Cazzola? He knocked out my best friend with a spinning elbow to the face.
Wow.
Like, we were at the Sears Center 2015, October. I'll never forget. My buddy Danny was on the rise. I mean, he was undefeated as a pro at the time. He was, I think, like 12 straight from amateur to pro, 12 straight winning streak. So, I mean, and he was knocking people out left and right, Kyle. I mean, he was knocking people out. So we get to this event. It was his first really like big event because it was at the Sears Center here in his hometown and everything.
Yeah. I
didn't even know who Steven Cazzola was. The only reason I knew a little bit about him was because Eddie Escobar, one of my buddies, he trains jiu-jitsu with Cazzola over in Cali. He went to high school with me, and he was one of the top-notch wrestlers in our high school. So I knew about Cazzola just because of him. I was like, oh, look, Ed is Eddie's boy. But I had no idea that he was going to do what he did. So we were all at the arena thinking it was going to be another easy win for Danny, blah, blah, blah. I was at the weigh-in the night before, and when I got to the weigh-in and I met Cazzola, that was the first time I actually met him in person. I looked at him, and then I instantly was like, this guy is no fucking joke, man. I get a lot from the guys when they look at each other at the weigh-in, and I was like, this guy looks like he came out here for fucking business. Like, he's out here for business. And if you ask him about it on your podcast, ask him about that night, because it was a crazy day for him. He said he barely made it to the fight. Like, he didn't have no money in his pocket. It was either we win this fight or, we don't, and we don't even have money to train anymore type shit. So that was like a huge moment for him. He showed up at the arena. Not one person was chanting for Cazorla other than his family. Danny had hundreds of people in the stands. Everyone going crazy. He came out with like a whole mariachi band and shit. And then he got knocked out in a minute and 30 seconds by a spinning elbow to the face.
Yeah, that was Danny Morales Jr. Yep.
Yeah, Danny the Machine Morales. And now Danny, he's never fought MMA again since then. Now he's a Glory kickboxer. He's fighting in Glory now. He's a Glory kickboxer. He's 1-3 in Glory. He lost his first 3 fights. He just won his first fight like 3 weeks ago. Was it a month ago or so?
Yeah, he's young. He's 26-year-old. Yep.
But yeah, that's just my story on how I met Cazorla. So I just wanted
that's
to
good.
That's
a good story, man. I'm glad I got you on, because you're very cued into this stuff where I'm not. I mean, I'm not even that cued. Not only you cued into the Bellator stuff, but then you're cued into the local scene where this event took place, which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to get you on.
That's why I was so happy to do this with you, man, because I actually know a lot of these guys on the thing, so I know a little bit of like the behind the scenes of like how they even got there, a little story here and there. But yeah, man, and Cazorla was stand-up guy ever since. Like I said, after that fight, Kyle, it was really bad, like the way the crowd treated him. I want to say there was like at least 10 cups of beer that hit the cage, and I think one of them actually smacked him across his head or hit his chest or something. Like, it got really bad. They were escorting people left and right. Like, people were getting escorted out of the building because they were just freaking out after Danny. We had never seen Danny in trouble in an MMA fight, let alone get knocked out with a spinning elbow to the face, So it was kind of crazy for a lot of the fans there. And the way that Cazorla was with me afterwards backstage just shows how much of a stand-up guy he really was, because he didn't take any of that into account. He was just like, I appreciate you even coming to apologize to me after the show and everything. So, and that's how I met him. And now he's one of my favorite fighters.
Wow. All right, let's talk about Mo Quinton Jackson real quick. I would say, well, the first takeaway from this fight is how similar it was to the first fight, which I think for the most part, I said this in my write-up about the event. If you go to the MMAtakeover.com, you can see my recap of the event. Obviously, I'm recapping right now, but you can read quicker results. Quicker, because the problem with this, and we actually talked about this earlier, is I wish we would have done this recap like that night or like the next morning, because it would have been a lot easier to recall the mood and the feeling, and now you've had a couple days to sit on it. Things mean different things to you now. So I mean, but even now, I mean, that fight looked very similar. I think the right decision was made, and here's what it came down to. I can tell you, go watch the fight again. This is what it came down to. Okay, Mo won the first round. Rampage won the second round. Okay.
That's how I had it scored as well, yeah.
This is what it came down to. Jackson won the first 2 minutes of round 3. King Mo won the last 3 minutes. That's literally what it came down to. Is for the first 2 minutes, Rampage was winning the third round and ostensibly winning the fight. King Mo then took control for the last 3 minutes. That's how he won the fight. Go back and watch it again. That's exactly what happened. So that's just how close to you MMA is. That's how close that fight was. And that's kind of what King Mo said, basically, this whole leading up to the fight, which is, this is MMA. It's not a street fight. This is you win on a per round basis. So I think Rampage did more damage again for the second fight in a row. The shit that he was landing was way more intense and causing more damage than anything that King Mo did, for the most part.
Hey, Kyle, he stunned him in the second round, didn't he?
He did.
He did, right? Okay.
He did. Now, you're talking about Mo to Jackson?
No, I meant, I thought Rampage caught him with something in the second round.
No. Okay, so that also, now Mo also stunned Jackson. He stunned him with a body shot. If you go back and watch, he hits him with a body shot, and Rampage goes up against the cage and bends over. And instead of continuing to attack the body, Mo shot in for another kind of ill-advised takedown that he didn't get. That's my big complaint about the whole fight. My big complaint. I understand Mo's style. I get the whole leg humping thing. I get it. Like, that's cool. I have nothing. I have no real problem with that style. It was kind of a boring fight, but other than that, I mean, it was boring up until the end. But excuse me. I would say I'm cool with the style, but I thought that King Mo was not fighting very smart because he would land some stuff. On the feet, he was fine. And he would start landing stuff. Like I said, he would land a big body shot, and then he would shoot for his legs again. And it was just weird. It was just a weird thing to see. You know, why was he so unwilling to engage? Certainly after he hurt him. I mean, but yeah, Quentin Rampage stunned King Mo. I mean, King Mo talked about it after the fight. I mean, he basically said at one point.
Oh, he did say.
He did. He said there was four. He said there was four Quentin Jackson for a minute. I mean, he was pretty stunned and was basically just trying to ride out the second round until he basically said, "I knew I had lost the second round because I got stunned and I never recovered. So I was just trying to kind of ride it out." You know, and then he gets to the third round and yeah.
Did you see King Mo's family cage side?
Right?
They were going nuts, bro. King Mo's family was going nuts.
Yeah.
My buddy was actually sitting right behind them, so he got to tell me a lot of like what was going on, and he got a really cool picture with King Mo as soon as he stepped off of the cage with the crown on and everything. But my buddy was actually sitting right next to his wife or his whoever, you know, female friend or whatever she is. She's the one that was wearing the crown. Once he stepped into the octagon, he gave his crown to her. But yeah, he took cool pictures with all of them, and he was telling me like all they were talking about and stuff. I don't know if you noticed this guy on the on cage side. He had like a big red coat on.
Oh,
he was going crazy. Yeah,
yes.
I know you've seen him.
Who is that man? Who is that man?
I think he's one of King. If not King Mo's like really good friend. He's something in the family.
He's just like a hype man? He seemed just like a hype man. Like a guy that just like walks behind you and is just like, yeah, what's up? Like
he looked like DJ Khaled for a second. Like, he reminded me of a lot of things.
Right?
Like Rick Ross or something.
Like a Rick Ross, DJ Khaled, like, have a baby? Yeah, dude.
What my buddy told me is I guess this guy had like $25,000 on King Mo. So that's why he was going crazy. I think he had like a big ass wager on him.
It's not shocking.
I never seen someone cheer for someone like that, and I get pretty fucking crazy, man. But this guy was like, I was up. You see where I was sitting? I could hear him clapping from where I was sitting down.
Yeah, dude, like, he was a blast. Again, I'm watching him, like he's doing like. At one point, he was doing this. He was doing like a video, like a FaceTime video or something. And I walked by. It was almost like he was channeling his like inner Joey Diaz. Like he was just like, he's like, you know what's up, you know what's up, you know what's up, and he's just doing that over and over and over again. Like, and it was. I'm just watching him. And like when people get in this thing where they're like, yeah, what's up. Yeah, what's up, right? But they're not like doing a chant. Yeah. They just like are doing that, but then they just go like they do it like 6 more times than they're supposed to. So like, he does it once and twice and 3 times. All right, 4 times. All right, got it. 5 times. Okay, yeah, 5 times still like okay. 6 times. All right, that's probably too much. 7 times. Yeah, that's definitely too much. 8 times, 9 times, 10 times, 11 times, 12 times, 13 times. Right? Like you get to like the 13th time, where you're like, what is happening? Why are you doing this?
Oh, I wanted to ask you one more thing. Did you get to see Curtis Blades? Did you see Curtis Blades up there that night?
I didn't. Was he cornering someone?
No,
I saw Ben Rothwell. Ben Rothwell was cornering Cho, I think.
Yeah, I seen a lot of people with like Rothwell MMA shirts on, but I didn't even get to see Ben. What's it called? Curtis Blades is actually really good friends with Cazzola. They trained for a while together out there in Cali at Dan Henderson's fitness center. But so they know each other really well. So I spoke to Curtis Blades the night before when he put up on his Facebook that he was fighting in the Chicago. So I automatically knew that he was coming for the fight. And I told him, like, let's meet up and let's have a beer. Kyle, this motherfucker is huge. He looks huge on TV. Man, he made me look like a fucking chimpanzee, bro. Like,
I
this
don't
guy
doubt
was
it, dude.
Huge,
I don't doubt it.
man.
You know what's
Big
funny
fucking
is
guy.
so when I shook Matt Mitrione's hand, so you don't know this about me. I'm sure most people who've never met me don't know this, but so I'm 5'8". Sometimes I could probably pass as 5'9", but I'm 5'8". And I'm big. I'm heavy. I weigh about 260 pounds. You know, not as much of that's muscle as I'd like it to be. But anyway, I'm nothing like. I'm just like I'm built like a normal average American. Okay. Here's the difference. I wear a size 14 shoe, and
Holy shit!
Yeah, and I have the hands of someone who's about 6'6", 6'7". So when I shook Matt Mitrione's hand, my hand was bigger than his, and yeah. So when I shook his hand, I shook his hand and he like kind of looked back, and then he turned my hand over and he looked at me and he was like, "Damn, dude," and then he like let go and kept walking. So I assumed he was talking about my hand, because when I shook his hand, I did that thing because I knew that he had a big hand, so I did that thing where I like kind of spread my fingers out when I went to grab his hand, because I'm like, his hand's massive. Well, when I closed it, I closed over his hand, and I was like, oh shit! Like I didn't even I wasn't trying to be weird. I just I thought his hand was going to be a lot bigger, and I don't think his hand was small. I just have a really big hand. I mean, like. I don't know why. We just called them my mitts. Everyone's always referred to my hand as my mitts. I mean, they're just like these. I wear like a size. I wear like a size. Yeah, big gloves, man. Yeah, I wear a size 15 wedding ring.
That's insane.
I mean, it's just I don't know why.
Is that normal?
My dad's 6'5". My mom is 5'1", so I got my mom's height. I have a 76-inch reach. Like if I reach out, I have a bigger reach than Conor McGregor. I have a 2-inch longer reach than Conor McGregor. Yeah, dude, it's nuts. I'm built like a fucking gorilla, like without the height. I mean, I'm just built like a gorilla.
And get you in the cage, bro.
I know. I'm just broad and just like. Gangly, not even gangly in like the skinny way. Gangly is in just like my arms just like hang down at my knees as I'm walking around. But anyway, that was just a quick aside. We have three. We've been on here for 45 minutes. We've talked about 2 fights. So
I know, right? That's fucking crazy. I do when I do the podcast. Sometimes I'll look over at Bob and I'll be like, "Bro, we got to start breaking down the fights, because we're 45 minutes in, we haven't even broke down a fucking fight."
Yeah, right. I'm gonna just text Steve and see if he's cool if I'm like 10 minutes late. So if not, we'll have to end this abruptly, unfortunately. So let's get through a couple more of these. Obviously, No had fought Lloyd Carter, and it basically was just he just outclassed him. I mean, in every possible way. I mean, he wound up choking him out in the second round. 8 minutes and 50 seconds into the fight, and I mean he was controlling it the entire time and just finished it in the second round. I mean, there's not really a whole lot to take away from it.
I could say just one quick thing about that fight.
Please do.
When Lloyd tagged him with that jab and dropped him, that was the end of them standing up. You know what I'm saying? I seen Lahat, or what's his name again? Lahat, is that his name? The guy who
Noad Lahat.
Yeah, Lahat. As soon as Lloyd tagged him with that jab, remember he dropped him. He dropped him in the first round with that jab. After that, Lahat didn't want nothing to do with the stand-up game, and it just became him outclassing him in the ground all around. But I feel like if it was standing, could have been a little bit different. It wouldn't have been as much domination. But I expected a little bit more better ground game from Lloyd. I did not expect him to submit that easily, but then again, that's what
I think that's where Lahat feels more comfortable anyway. I mean, I think that's.
Well, he was a minus 900 favorite, Kyle. So I mean, you gotta go and outclass somebody when you're a minus 900 favorite, or at least show me why you're a minus 900 favorite. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, he did a great job, man. He outclassed Lloyd, and I mean, I know Lloyd. You know, he's a great guy and everything, but come on, man, you're 10-8. You know, your record's 10-8. I mean, I feel like they put him in there because he's a hometown guy and shit. But I don't know. I feel like a lot of the guys in that card, Kyle, were just put in there because they're hometown guys.
Yeah. So I mean, so this is what I said about that fight in the article. I said, next up, Nohad Lahat took on Lloyd Carter. In the first round, Lahat took a shot at the middle and dropped like a lead balloon. He'd recover quickly though and finish the round on top. In the second, it was all Lahat. He'd eventually secure a rear naked choke. After the fight, Lahat was quiet, declining to call anyone out specifically, but saying he'd like to fight on the NYC card. So.
Oh, okay.
There you go. So
Hey,
there was, but yeah, he did
that-
get dropped in that first round. I mean, clearly he got dropped.
With a jab, with the fucking jab.
Yeah, shot right at the middle, right in the middle of his chin.
That was 145, right? That was the 145 fight. I believe Lloyd went up 10 pounds for that fight.
It was.
Went up a weight class.
Yep.
I was gonna say, man, throw a little hot and Thunder Beast, but yeah, it's a different weight class. I know Steve is shooting for 179 at London, which would be awesome for him. You know, the better getting out there, it would be good for him to go out to London and knock another guy out for Bellator 179. Hopefully they find him an opponent for that. But you'll talk about it with him in a little bit. And he probably obviously got a lot more information than I do. All I know is that, like I said, man, the training camp was ready to get back in it. I'm pretty sure he flew back to Cali Sunday morning and went back home the very next morning. So yeah.
So Chase Gormley then. This was so I got to know Chase. Chase, of the guys I got to know over the weekend, this was a guy who I got to know the most, I think. And that was hard to watch. I mean, he didn't just get slept. I mean, we didn't see or hear from him again. I mean,
really?
Yeah, and we asked Scott at the scrum, like, how's Chase? And he said, well, Chase went to the hospital, just for routine stuff, and he'll probably stay overnight and go from there. So yeah, I mean, he got slept, and that's unfortunately for Chase. I mean, that's been his narrative. He's been knocked out by quite a few people, and this Sergey Karatanov, I think is his name. I don't know how to pronounce it exactly, but anyway, I mean, that dude is a fucking heavy hitter. So
he's a monster, man.
Yeah, and you could tell he was just bigger than Chase, and he was just more technical, and what happened, I think a lot of people predicted. I mean, it kind of went the way it was supposed to, honestly. I mean, I don't know in Vegas. Let me look. Chase was an underdog. Yeah, I mean, Chase was an underdog.
Actually, a lot of our listeners hit big on that fight. We told them to parlay Sergey. I believe some guys got him at like minus 285. So Sergey was the favorite at minus 285. We told a lot of people to parlay him with Cazzola. Cazzola was minus 175. I don't think we're going to see Cazzola as that good of a favorite in a long time. Or, I mean,
in a while.
That light is a favorite, because after that, I believe he's going to be like minus 300 or anything like that. So
unless he fights, unless he gets a big fight, even like a Dylan Dennis fight,
or something. Yeah.
where he should beat Dylan Dennis.
I told the listeners, take Cazzola, parlay him with Sergey. I know Sergey, his hand has gotten a lot better because he's doing pad work over there with Mike Valley and Valley Flow Striking. That's where I met Yair Rodriguez. Mike Valley is head coach for Yair Rodriguez, and that's here in Chicago or here in Illinois. So I knew that Sergey was going to come out throwing fucking hands like a monster. When you start doing pad work with Mike Valley, I don't know if you've seen any of the pad work he does, Kyle, but look him up when you get a chance. Mike Valley, Valle. He does pad work that is like none other, man. I mean, he's the guy who's doing, and a lot of guys I've heard criticize him because of it, because I guess like they say he's too soft he's more about technical than power, like that. There's different guys that do pad work. Some guys are all about big power. Some guys just, they'll do the Floyd Mayweather stuff where they're just tapping your gloves, and it's all, technical and it looks pretty and shit. But Mike Valley, man, he's phenomenal when it comes to pad work and being a head coach for striking and stuff. And so I knew kind of like, I think this guy's going to go to sleep soon. So we told everyone to take Sergey and parlay it with Cazzola. So here are the odds for that. It was like pretty much you throw 100 when you parlay them together. It was like 100 to win like 120. So it was pretty much even, And a lot of guys made a lot of money off that fight. I actually had guys at the Allstate Arena coming up to me, shaking my hand and giving me hugs. Like, thanks, man. I'm $500 richer today. So that was pretty cool to see them, make money. I went up to Cazzola and gave him a big hug after the fight. Like, I owe you a big steak, brother, because you made me so much money tonight.
Yeah, man. All right, and last but not least, we have Emmanuel Sanchez taking on Marcus Galvo? Is that his name? I butchered his name. I butchered his name in my little video. It's funny, Matt Marsden, who's the head cutman for Bellator, I've had him on the show a couple times, and all that. But anyway, he texted me, was like, by the way, it's Galvo, not whatever the hell I said. And I was like, first of all, thanks for watching. Second of all, you don't have to correct me. I said that I was going to pronounce it wrong. But
yeah.
So what was interesting about this fight is that I think conventional, and I kind of said this in my write-up, which is like conventional wisdom would have told you that Galvo should have won here. This is a former champion. This is obviously a very decorated gentleman who's very, very good. But here's the thing, and this was the narrative I think a lot of people were missing, which is A, he's coming up 10 pounds. B, he's going up against a guy who's already big as a featherweight. C, Emmanuel Sanchez had 4 pounds over the limit, right? So he had that much more weight. And it wasn't because of injury. It wasn't because of any of that. So, Emmanuel Sanchez, for me, as far as betting was concerned, was an absolute lock. He was locked in. I had no question. Which is sad because one of Galvo's coaches, his name is Jason. I don't know what his kickboxing coach, maybe, I don't know. But anyway, his name was Jason. One of my favorite people of all the people I met over the weekend, like, this dude was my absolute favorite. And that was one of Marcus's coaches. So, I kind of wanted to see him do better, but I never at any point thought he was going to. So that fight was one of the least surprising of the night, to be honest with you. Exactly what I thought was going to happen is what happened. Galvo was tough as fucking nails, ate every single shot that came his way and lost a pretty decisive decision. That's basically what I was expecting.
Yeah, Emmanuel, man, he wowed me with his whole talk on the mic and everything. I didn't even know he was that good on the mic when he said all he said after the weigh-in. Cool dude. Like you said, I thought it was a lock for sure. I didn't think that Marcus had anything for him, or Marcos. I felt like Emmanuel, it's his time, man. It's a lot of things with fighters like this too that I tell people sometimes it's just their time, man. And he's like Cazzola's another prime example of that. Like, it's just sometimes it's their time and they're locked in and ready to go. Like you said, Galvo was an ex-champion for Bellator, wasn't he?
Yes, he was the bantamweight champion.
Yeah, so, I don't know. With all that, like I said, man, I've watched all his highlights. The man's a beast. Honestly, I almost expected a little bit more, but, he dominated. I felt like, he was landing shots left and right. That thing he does where he throws the spinning back fist and then comes with the high kick, I love that shit. And I feel like that can land a lot, especially with someone who doesn't know what they're doing. Like, say if you get in a fucking bar fight, you throw a spinning back fist and then come with a high kick, you're going to land that about 80% of the time.
Yeah.
I love that combination. He actually, like you said, man, the Galvo guy was like taking the shots like nothing. I thought he was going to get a knockout. I actually told the people to take the under in that fight because I thought it was going to be a knockout. But yeah, it didn't end up going that way. But that was a good fight. It was an entertaining fight. I thought it was one of the better fights of the main card.
I agree because it was Galvo was taking shots, man. He was eating them. I think I said, like, if you look through my Twitter feed, I'm like, the whole time I'm like, and surprise, surprise, Galvo has been kicked in the head now for the 7th time and is again completely unfazed.
He kept moving forward like a zombie, bro.
I know, dude. It was nuts. He didn't get wobbled, nothing. He was perfectly fine. It was nuts.
Yeah, those guys are scary, man. Those guys are scary when you see guys like that you hit them, and I feel like almost the fighter, the guy who's hitting him, is almost thinking in his head, like, what do I got to do to get this guy down, man?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It's awful.
Like,
poor guy.
Just pushing forward.
Poor Emmanuel Sanchez, man. He's probably like, dude, what do I have to do? Like, I've kicked him in the jaw 3-4 times. What am I supposed to do?
clean cut shots too.
I
Nobody
know.
Like he blocked him a
Clean.
little bit.
No,
Clean.
there were shots where they weren't even like he didn't remotely block them. I mean, just kicked straight in the dome. I mean, no blocking, nothing. I mean, just incredible.
Was that your fight of the night then?
Yeah, I mean, as far as like something that went to a decision, I mean, obviously that Steve Cazzola finish over Jake Roberts was just, I mean, immaculate. I mean, what a perfect fight! What a perfect fight for Cazzola.
I counted all the shots. Kyle, he threw a left, a jab, and then a straight right, and then after that, he landed every one of the shots.
Just nuts.
He connected on every shot. The patience that he showed too by not like getting overly crazy to try to finish him. You know how some guys, you drop them and then they lose it and they try to finish the fight. He like handled it really well. He like picked his shots. He found the right shots, and he didn't like just throw a punch to throw a punch. Every punch he threw, he landed and took out Roberts, who was 7-1 at the time.
7-1, man. 7-1.
Fought some guy that was 10-8 or something.
Dude wasn't a scrub. Dude was not a scrub.
Yeah,
man, good for him. And Steve talked very highly of him. I mean, thought that he was a great guy. So definitely go check out, if you've listened to this whole thing, I appreciate it. Go check out my interview with Steve Cazzola. It should be posted at the same time as this episode. So if you're listening to this, the Steve Cazzola episode should also be available. I'm not going to make any promises, but that's what I think. So hopefully that's the case. Tell us where to find you, man. Tell us about your podcast, where to find the podcast, where to find you personally, where to find the podcast, Twitter, just everything, man. Give me your whole spiel.
Man. We can find us Podbean. We're on iTunes. We're on SoundCloud, MMApodcast.com. I don't know where everyone listens to podcasts, but you can find us anywhere. Even if you just go on our Facebook page at Brains and Brawn. That's Brawn, B-R-A-W-N. A lot of people ask me how to spell Brawn, so I have to put it out there. But yeah, Brains and Brawn podcast. All our links and all our updates are usually on our Facebook page. I try to get them out there as much as possible on social media as much as I can. Our Twitter is at Brains and Brawn 1, the number 1. So you can find us on everything, man. I'm constantly doing everything I can to get our word out there. It's been a pleasure. We couldn't be doing what we're doing right now without guys like you and Blake, man. You guys have been magnificent ever since we started doing the podcast and showing nothing but love. You helped me get my stuff on iTunes and stuff because I couldn't even figure it out, So thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for everything, bro, and all the, just basically coaching. I'm like sitting there, like, put me in, coach, and you guys have done a great job showing me the ropes, and the podcast community couldn't get it better. You guys are amazing, and so man, you can find us, like I said, Brains and Brawn. Look us up. I'm a little loud and a little crazy when I talk, so I hope you guys enjoy it. I don't like to sugarcoat much. I'm a loudmouth type of guy. So,
hey, then this is the perfect podcast for you.
Yeah, loudmouth MMA, right? I
mean, I mean, I'll say this to anybody: if you're listening to this and you're a podcaster yourself in the MMA community, I for one, and this is something that I think I told you when I was helping you out. This isn't a fucking competition.
Oh yeah.
This isn't a competition. I'm not competing with you. You're not competing with me. You're not competing with other MMA podcasts. This isn't a competition. And the problem is, a lot of people think it is. And it's not. It's not a competition.
I was just preaching this the other day too, man. I tell people I live by a thing. It's called "I shine, you shine." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
we all shine together.
And I was saying, like, I was talking to Blake about it, and I was basically just like, listen, if and he didn't necessarily think this, but I'm saying, like, him and I were talking about this stuff, and I'm just like, if you think this is a competition, if you think you're competing with me, then I've already beat you at whatever the game is, because I'm not competing with you. So if you think it's a game, you've already lost it.
That's why I love how you guys are about it, man. Because like you said, man, I mean, we're starting. I just got into the whole game, and our Facebook page has been up a couple months now. But I've noticed that some of the guys that liked our podcast at the very beginning are now, I feel like they're thinking it's a competition, and I've seen a couple of the guys actually unfollow and unlike my page. From other little podcasts from around.
That'll happen. That'll happen.
So with that said, like, I just appreciate how you guys have been so cool with everything, and not once have I ever thought that you guys have like put it out like a competition. Like I said, you guys like and share all our stuff, man, and I love it, man. So I love being what we're doing. I feel like it's a blessing to be able to do what we're doing because it's. I feel like Bellator, a perfect example. I felt like a little kid in Disneyland, bro. I was running around that place like a little kid in Disneyland. So I love what we're doing, man, and it's only gonna get better. Like what you were talking about, building a network. rather than, you know, everyone doing like this podcast where everyone thinks it's a competition. I'm sure in the future this is only going to get better, and I just see a really bright future with everything, man. So keep kicking ass, bro. Like
Thank you,
I said,
dude.
you handled Bellator 175 like a champ. I had no idea that was your first MMA event. I thought you've been doing this forever, bro. Like I said,
Thank you.
Out of everybody in the media that was sitting there, you looked the most composed out of all of them. I think
you.
I was getting up and going, like you said, taking pictures and shit and doing all this stuff. And you were sitting there like you meant business. You were there to do your job, man. And,
Thank you, man.
That was cover the event, and you did a great job.
Yep. Shout out to the MMA Takeover for representing me
shout out
and getting
MMA
me there.
Takeover for sure. Hey, I don't think that anybody else did it round by round like you did they?
Not really. I mean, I was every single round of every single fight. Other than the post limbs, because we had the media scrums during the post limbs. So other than that, but I don't think anyone did it that as intense. Now, that's not to say that I'm better than them. It's just I think I did something that I felt was what the role of the media was in that instance.
Exactly.
So that's the role that I took. If you did it, if you took a different route, that's fine. I think it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
And what's it called? I want to put it out for, you know, a lot of the fighters that are listening, because I know we get a lot of the fighters that tune into our podcast and stuff and your podcast. And I just want to put out there that the reason I love, you know, like your podcast, my podcast, and the things that like Blake and stuff does is we give everyone a fair shake. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter if you're Rumble Johnson and you're, just up and coming guy or something. We give everyone a fair shake. We talk about everybody the same. We let everyone on the podcast, and we let everyone give their side of the story and tell what they do. And that's big, man. I don't see a lot of other podcasts doing it the way we do it like that. You know, we talk about everybody, and we give everyone their fair shake, whether it's a preliminary fight that you might not catch live on TV, but we talk about everybody and everything. You know.
Yeah. Agreed, man. Alrighty, dude. Well, thanks for coming on. Hopefully this was informational for everybody. So we'll get Miguel back on the show sometime soon. So
now I got to get you on my show for sure.
Yes, please do. You know I love whoring myself out there.
Yeah, for sure. And I love talking shit. You know me.
All right.
So once again, thanks for having me, Billy. You're awesome. Everyone, check out. You know, Kyle and his stuff, man. He's doing great stuff over here, man. It's a pleasure to be a part of it. So
thank you, sir.
It's an honor, brother. Take care, and I'll be talking to you, buddy.
Yes, sir. Talk then. Bye.
The host of the LoudMouth MMA podcast, Kyle Steele, executive producer and head of marketing, Philip Herman. Today's episode was mixed by Danny Adams, myself. Special thanks to the MMA Prophet, Sean Ihaz, Dave Madden, Keith from the MMA Takeover, and The Vobal. To learn more about the LoudMouth MMA podcast, please visit loudmouthmma.com.